last year was definitely a learning experience. Not to sound like an excuse, but we were really, as you know, crushed by injuries. So we had 4.5 guys out for the year, and 4 of those guys were 6'6" or over, right? So just hurt us with the physicality of the game, with the rebounding. But on from there, as much as the puzzle pieces fit 2 years ago when our NIT championship run, everyone kind of got along, meshed well together, style play. The puzzle pieces didn't fit last year. So we have to look in the mirror and get back to getting the right kind of guys that fit our style and system. So I think we learned some things there. But yeah, super excited this time of year. We're molding more guys nowadays than we used to mold, right? That is, we'd have 10, 11, 12 guys back perhaps, and now you have 10, 11, 12 new guys that you're trying to mold together. So, but it's an awesome time of year. We have our guys up for the summer. Some of them are taking class. They're getting used to each other off the court, so we're doing some team bonding stuff, and then on the court and or in the weight room, we're trying to make strides and get on the same page with our terminology and style play and what we're all about culture-wise. So it's an exciting time of year. I hope most coaches are excited about their team at this time of year. We certainly are.
What do you think is the biggest thing that helps these guys make that jump from their freshman year to sophomore?
Yeah, I think, for all time, even as you go back in time, when you first get to school, it's like you're drinking out of a fire hose. Everything's coming at you, right? Whether it's the culture of our program or my personality yelling at a kid and he's like a little on edge at practice. By the time you're a senior, it's like, the heck with coach.
That's right.
You don't even pay attention to me. Not really, but
yes.
But that on top of academics, on top of being away from home, and you're just like, I just remember even back when I played, everything's coming at you a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, in my experiences of coaching and playing and all, once you get through that freshman year and you can kind of the spring hits and you take a deep breath and you're like, oh wow, and you also find out, oh, college is kind of cool.
That's right.
So but you see guys kind of relax and they know what's coming, so they're not as anxious about either a lift or a workout or whatever. Right. So I think you often see guys take that big jump again between freshman and sophomore year.
It's just being familiar.
Being familiar,
things.
yeah. And being, how you travel and playing away games and the crowd and all the stuff, you're just more experienced, So I think he's got a chance to do really well for us amongst other guys. We had a kid, Josh Bowman, who was going to redshirt, but came off the redshirt last year because of all of injuries, and he's got a chance to take a big jump this year as well.
Okay, you mentioned your playing days, so I've got a full circle moment, so to speak, in terms of you and I standing here. Because when I was assistant coach at Maryland Eastern Shore, 1994, in December, we had a road trip.
Really?
Penn State.
Ah, there you go.
Yes. And I had to do the scouting report for Penn State.
Yeah.
And there was one player that I circled, said, guys, you need to watch out for this guy because he's been in somewhat of a shooting slump, but don't let him get any shots off.
Yeah.
And it was you,
Dan
Earl, right? Yes.
I paid you money offline to say nice things about me. That was kind of a backhanded comment, big shooting slump.
Yes.
But,
Well, I know it
That's
was,
funny,
right?
though. Yeah.
But I do remember distinctly. Now, we ended up losing big, but I think we were only down 5 or 6 at halftime.
At halftime,
Yeah, we actually were playing well, but you hit your first 2 or 3 shots.
Is that right?
But it actually gave me credibility because I was 23 years old at the time.
Yeah, sure.
First year at Maryland Eastern Shore, and I'm telling these guys, hey, watch out for Dan Earl.
Yeah.
And
That's
sure
funny.
enough, you had a nice game. And I think you guys only maybe missed 4 or 5 shots in the second half. Blew us out. Yeah, exactly.
Well, some things come to mind. Number one, as you know, sometimes as an assistant, and I've been through it as an assistant for a while, but where you do the scouting report and you always want to protect yourself, right? Because if you're that guy can't really shoot and he comes out and hits shots, depending on who your head coach is, sometimes you hear about it in one way or another. So I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but the other thing that that you mentioned was, only being down 5. I'm trying to think of 94 who our head coach was, but it might have been Bruce Parkhill.
It was, yes.
So my gut tells me that we had an inspired halftime speech or whatever. which
You guys
may have consisted of a few choice words along the way.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Amici went off there in the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, he was blocking everything in the second half.
Yeah.
You know,
He was a really good player. Yeah.
So full circle moment.
Yeah,
that
that's
we get
funny.
to stand right here.
It's amazing, right? The 6 degrees of separation in basketball, whatever. I'm sure we know a lot of the same people throughout
there's no
coaching
doubt.
and be involved in this thing, you know. So, but that's funny.
Yeah. In here in the off season, what gets you most energized about the off season and getting guys back in these summer workouts where you remember years ago you didn't have this opportunity?
Yeah, no doubt. I try to remind myself of that, right? Because sometimes we worry about overworking the guys.
Yeah.
Now we're limited by 8 hours a week or what have you, but they're also playing pickup or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do tell myself that we were always in the gym. Like, I'm from outside Philadelphia, so we'd be working out, all the Philly guys and all like so. But you didn't have a coach in your ear like pushing you hard, you know. So we try to keep that in mind when we're going through workouts and everything. But it's just great to be on the court, you know. The big difference, as you know, is years ago you'd have 10 of your 13 guys back. You're only bringing 3 new guys into the fold, so they learn pretty quickly, and the guys really help them, the culture of your program, how you operate, all that stuff. And now it's kind of flipped on its head. It might be the opposite ratio.
Doubt.
Yeah, so
that's right.
So that's tough and proven to be a little different. But just being on the court with the guys, like, look, this whole day and age of NIL and transfer portal and all the stuff that goes into it, it's really changed the job and or the amount of hours you put into different things.
That's right.
But if you're like, a little bit old school coach still, it's great to be on the floor and seeing guys get better. So that's the biggest thing about the summertime, and then trying to get all the puzzle pieces to fit together and get them all on the same page. So it's an exciting time of year. So I'm really excited about this group.
When's the last time you got some shots up?
I don't shoot anymore. I'll mess around here or there. Yeah.
Show them what you got.
Yeah. I mean, I talk a lot, but I don't necessarily get out there. So a few knee injuries. I was actually playing with our staff maybe probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago now, and I get too competitive, so I tweaked my knee again.
You
and I
too competitive?
Swore that I won't play anymore if my knee's okay and I don't need yet another surgery. So so I don't get out there much, but I'll talk a lot of smack.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Another two-man weave segment here on SoCon Fast Break, joined by sophomore here with the Mocs, Tate Darner. Tate, you ready?
I am. Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's go. All right, I'll let you go first. All right, the nickname that I think we need to say for you, though, is Iron Man, right? You didn't miss
heard that.
No high school misses in terms of 4-year career, but you missed 2 games here at Chattanooga last year. So was that a challenge for you to have to sit on the bench?
It was. High school, I played every single game, Obviously had some bumps, but you got to play through it every time.
Yeah, of course, yes.
I had some injuries in here that were too severe to play through, which I haven't really had yet. It sucked.
Okay. Well, we also know you're coming from a basketball family.
Yeah.
Your dad, head coach right now at Tampa, and did an amazing job there at Green Bay, and also winning a national championship there at Florida Southern. What was that experience like for you as a kid, seeing your dad experience those type of milestones?
Yeah, obviously, I was super young, especially Florida Southern when they won it, but just being a kid in the locker room, being on the bus with the guys, acting like basically I was part of the team. I can still remember the national championship, the shot that Kevin Capers hit. I'm on the bench going up and down, going crazy. I mean, just things like that, you cherish and helps you grow as a player. It shows what, it's what it takes and everything like that. So it's been a special experience, and I'm blessed to be in this position to have my dad coach college basketball.
That's right. Well, and also, your grandfather
my
was a
grandfather,
coach.
My
your
dad's
uncle
whole side.
played. Yes, it's crazy the basketball family that you have.
Yeah.
So is it automatic you're going to have to be a basketball coach?
Yeah. I think they probably had a basketball pacifier as a kid. You never know. So I feels like it was just destined, and I played all the other sports, but basketball was just always what I wanted to play.
Yeah. Was basketball your first love, though?
Yeah, I think it was. I like the other sports, but I quit them pretty young just to play basketball. So.
Would you say you're a gym rat?
Yeah. Coaches get on me. They have like a joke where I gotta stay out of the gym. Can't do too much on the body, so things like that. But I love being in the gym. Love getting better.
All right. So what was it like though, coming from Florida here to Chattanooga, first year in the Southern Conference? Was there a moment that was a aha type of moment? Okay, this is Southern Conference Division I basketball.
Yeah. Obviously moving here, it was great. SoCon's an amazing league. So I would say that Wofford game, we got beat pretty bad at home, and it's just like, it just showed that you can't have, in high school you can have days where you play a team and you're like, okay, I don't got to play as hard, things like that. And I mean, every night in SoCon you can lose to anybody or you can beat anybody. So just knowing that you got to bring it all every single time, that's what helped me. Is going to motivate me for this year and just show what it takes to win.
Yeah, what was it about Chattanooga that made you want to sign here and even sign early?
Just the coaching staff. Obviously, my dad knows Coach Earl a little bit, but just even Coach Greeman, things like that, like the trust and the relationship I had with him at such a younger age when I was a sophomore, things like that. It was really a no-brainer for me. Throughout the whole process, they never changed sides or became distant. They were the same the whole time. That's what made me pick them.
Yeah, all right, but Chattanooga's a little different than Florida in terms of there's mountains up here.
Yeah, I know. I've gone on a couple hikes, a couple trails, things like that, looking at seeing down, you're like, wow. Yeah, the place is beautiful. Wilderness, all things like that. A lot different than Florida. No beaches here, which sucks.
No, exactly.
Sucks, but
you miss it, right?
Yeah, I do miss the beach a little bit, but you get used to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you had a great freshman year here with Chattanooga. Set the Chattanooga three-point made record with 53. Do you remember exactly the shot that broke the record? Do you remember that?
I did not. I didn't even know I broke it.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't.
So how'd you know? How'd you find out about it?
I saw it after. I think it was the Citadel game in the tournament. I was happy that I broke the record, but we ultimately lost in the first round, so I wasn't really too worried or happy about it. At the end of the day, winning is all that really matters. So
that's right. All right, so who does your hairstyle?
Nobody.
Nobody?
The bed when I wake up.
All right, what are you most excited about here for this upcoming 2026 season?
I'm excited. We have a new group of guys, a lot of new faces, new people that you get to learn, and I think we have a really good group, and I'm just excited to, last year I obviously had a good freshman year, but I think I understood now what it takes to win and what it takes to doesn't win. So just bringing that this year, the leadership qualities that I have to help, bring this team back to hopefully going dancing in March.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, I don't want to take you away from getting some shots up.
No,
you got to get out there.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Coach, you talk about the Jersey Shore, and there's also something about Jersey producing basketball players and especially brothers. You had the Hurley brothers and then the Earl brothers come along not too far after that. What was it like growing up in your household, being competitive, of course, and your brother, and then your dad played at Rutgers there?
Yeah, no doubt. It was, awesome in a million different ways, right? And I'm a parent now. I have two girls. But I think there's an art to pushing your kids hard, but not vicariously living through them and being that parent that is yelling at either the coach or the officials or whatever. So I know what it's like to be on this side of things coaching. But, my parents were divorced. My mom was great and raising us on a daily basis. My dad had played at Rutgers with Jim Valvano back in the day. So he was kind of the pushing us to get out and play every day. He'd call and before it was how you doing, it's did you guys play today? Did you shoot today? That kind of thing. So so it was cool. Yeah. And the Hurleys were a couple years older than us in North Jersey. So we were always kind of looking up to them, or not comparing ourselves, but we knew all the tradition at St. Anthony's and how good they were. But myself and my brother are 2 years apart, and went on to play college and a little bit after. And then my brother was an outstanding player at Princeton as well. So it was, it was a lot of fun times, although it's all perspective too, right? It was, I say fun, and I say my brother should be thanking me for the success he had. I was the older brother. He looks at it like I was a bully and I was mean to him, so it's all perspective where you're coming from.
Hey, big brothers, that's what you do, though. That's what a little bit of a bully, right?
That's how I see it. Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, we had and some good teams. In New Jersey, won the Tournament of Champions one year. We were nationally ranked multiple years. So those were the glory days, if you will. Now I'm gray and heavy, and life is going the other way.
Just much more wise. That's it.
There you go. That's a good way of saying it. I like it. Politically correct.
All right, Coach, you talk about your brother, the head coach at William & Mary. Did you try to convince him not to go into coaching now?
That's a good question. I was in it, I believe, a year before he was, but he's got a lot of friends from Princeton, and a lot of those guys are in coaching. So he gave the real world a shot for a little while and didn't like that as much. So he got into coaching and has done exceedingly well.
Yes, he has.
I'm super proud of him in one breath. But this thing's changed so much too. So sometimes we kind of call each other and go, "Hey, did we make the right move?" Because this thing is wild, especially in recent years. But
but I miss it so much.
Yeah, no doubt.
I do.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, and look, we all have to keep perspective, right? Like. My grandparents, grandfathers both worked on the railroad. Some people are in coal mines, whatever it is. So life could be much worse than being a college basketball coach. And I love it. I'm around the guys, keeps you young in one breath or another. Yeah. And you're like running a small organization, trying to figure out,
no doubt,
all the different facets of running a program / trying to win basketball games and figuring out how you can compete. So it's awesome in a million different ways. It's just the recent years. And I think all of us get into a little bit of like what it used to be and how much it's changed and how hectic it is after the season. But again, we need to remind each other how fortunate we are to be in this position and to be coaching basketball.
It's basketball.
Yeah.
You're out on the court. And I know obviously basketball is in your blood. Is coaching in your blood also though?
I would hope so in a lot of ways, So I played point guard back in the day. So usually teams, like the point guard's an extension of the coach, if you will, and you have to use your voice and have a little bit of a command presence and know what's going on. So I don't know that I check all those boxes exceedingly well, but I haven't been afraid to kind of be a leader when I was playing, and you're doing that kind of with a college program now. So I've always enjoyed the X's and O's standpoint of it as well. And then there's the psychology aspect, which I'm still working on, right? There's a lot of like, just figure it out or be tougher or just play harder. That kind of
describe
thing.
That though, the psychology.
Yeah. Like the, as you go along, you have to realize everyone's not raised the same way. They come from different backgrounds, and you have to spend time with guys and see what makes them tick, and hopefully have the right, idea behind when it's time to kick somebody in the tail a little bit and when it's time to put an arm around somebody and tell them it's going to be okay, right? Because this thing is a journey. And as you know, guys don't come in as a freshman and score whatever. Now they want to score 20 points a game as a freshman or whatever, but 10 points a game and 5 assists and whatever, and go undefeated. And then the next year it's 15. And like, that's not the way this thing works, right?
That's right.
There's ups and downs. And like, I think at the end of the day, we try to keep high character guys around, and that you're in this journey with them. So you're trying to push the right buttons and or develop relationships to tell them it's going to be okay, right? Because I've gone through some tough times in this game. It'll humble you quickly, both as a player and as a coach. So that's what you try to do, I think.
Yeah. When was the time you felt you were most humbled by the game?
That's an interesting question. There's too many to count, to be honest with you. But from a team aspect, I just know when I was playing, we played at Minnesota one year, and we may have lost by 40 some odd points. And as I hope I don't come across as conceited or what have you, but I never thought I could be on a team that would lose by 40 some points. So, and sure enough, it was my freshman year, and the fans were going nuts, whatever. And it's like, it's just like you get punched in the face, right? And I still remember flying home back to Penn State or whatever. And you got some tough days, so, but different times, and you try to help freshmen out, that are coming in now where, you're all world as a high school player or some level of that. And you come to college and you're like, oh, this will be easy. You're watching a college game. You're like, oh, I'll just go out there and do this and that. And then you realize that guy I'm playing against is pretty fast and pretty strong and pretty good. So it's not, again, it's not all roses when you're going through it. So there's certainly been some tough times playing, and then coaching as well. I've been on the other side of some games where it's been hard, to say the least.
And it's so much with coaching. There's so many things out of your control. Yeah. And that's what makes it even more challenging, and how it can humble you because you don't have that control aspect. Yeah, no doubt. And you hope you're just with the right guys that are high character and that are competitors. Like if there's a word that stands out for me, like you have to compete, and you're not always going to win the games, but you got to be, and you want to be in the trenches, if you will, with some players and or coaches and or your program where you're competing at all times, So, you asked me before, sometimes I've been humbled. We played against Mike Young's Wofford, one of his Wofford teams a couple years back. I was at VMI, and they proceeded to shoot I'll make it up at 21 for 24 from 3 against us. They had Fletcher McGee and a bunch of other guys. It was just one of those nights.
But I end up calling my father a lot of times after tough games or after every game, actually. And he's like trying to, I just talked about us trying to pump the tires of players.
Yeah.
So he's trying to do the same thing with his son, which that wasn't always the way it was growing up. But he's like, hey, it'll be all right. Like sometimes people have those kind of nights. And I'm like, no, Dad, they never have those kind of nights because in the history of college basketball, it's the highest 3-point percentage on over 20, like in the history of the game. So I'm like yelling at my father, they don't have those nights. It was last night against us, So again, this game will certainly humble you.
Yeah. How do you balance then never getting too high, never getting too low though?
Yeah, very difficult, right?
Yes.
And you almost, part of it, you mentioned my brother. I can bounce ideas off him. My father, Matt Langle's a good friend of ours at Colgate. We have a text chain that goes out that we all try to pick each other up at different times.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if we need much help being humble. I think we all try to be that, but certainly to pick each other up, right? Like because as you just mentioned, you're never as good as you think you are, and that can catch teams certainly and or people.
Yeah.
If you have an exceedingly good season or something goes well for you, but you're never as bad as you are as well when you go through those tough days of taking one on the chin, or you go through a 3-game losing streak, or we had a tough season last year. That was no fun. So you just try to stay middle of the road, and I know it sounds like a cliche, but understand that it's a process, right? And if you're day in, day out, like doing the right things from a process-wise, the results will follow.
Yeah. So when you were playing, how would you describe your playing style, and has that carried over to your coaching style?
Yeah, I would say so. Like I was never the most athletic. I had a little of size, if you will, and I was much thinner back in the day, but like height, I should say. So, but I think I was a halfway cerebral player, knew where guys should be, knew how to play the game, could see pretty well, and was fairly skilled, but again, my athleticism, I wasn't incredible, especially at the Big Ten level or playing afterwards. So I had to somewhat try to use my brain and or my skill. And I think it has carried over. Like, the way we play stylistically here, we try to get skilled guys. We kind of try to get guys that, we call it see, share, shoot, right? Like see the floor, share the ball, be unselfish, and then be skilled, be able to make shots. So, and I think that comes from a little bit of who I was as a player. My brother played at Princeton on some really outstanding teams. So some of that philosophy of ball movement. And then I played over in Europe for a while. So you see, as a generalization, and I'm, very much generalizing, but you have super skilled guys over there that know how to play. You see some of the guys in the NBA, whether it's, Doncic or Jokic or whatever, So, whereas here in the States, you have that, but you also have even more athleticism, if you will. So I think it's certainly rubbed off on me, my experiences as a player.
Yeah. So what was a bigger jump? High school to Penn State or Penn State to Europe?
That's a good question. I would probably say high school to Penn State, kind of what I alluded to earlier, particularly on the court, right? Meaning you go from being the best player in whatever it is, your county or your school or your county or your South Jersey or whatever, and then you get to college and you're like, oh, I'm just going to crush it here or whatever, and you realize again how athletic and strong and physical everybody is, and the wear and tear of like each and every day. That's another thing that, as you know, right? Like you can go out on a one-off and do pretty well, but when you have to practice day in and day out against a really good player and then go out in games and, so going through all that. And, overseas, I was a little bit, stronger and older at that point. Now, the mental side of it there actually, where when you first go over, you're trying to adjust to a new culture. They don't speak the same language per se. You're adjusting all that. That takes you a second. Let alone you miss some of, it's that stage in life where your friends are either hanging out at the Jersey Shore or doing this or that, or some guys are getting married or whatever. You're missing a bunch of this stuff. So, but I wouldn't trade my experience of playing overseas for anything. I met my wife over there, who's from Sweden originally, but Germany, and have been able to travel the world and see some different things. So it was a great experience.
Yeah. Why did you choose Penn State, and what other schools were you looking at?
Yeah. I took visits. I'm not too bright, meaning I went to Stanford as well on an official visit. I ended up not going there, and that's why I'm not too bright. But I visited Stanford, Northwestern, Rutgers, and Penn State officially, and then Princeton and Penn officially. Unofficially. I ended up going to Penn State just because a mixture of everything, right? Like the distance from home wasn't too great, so my parents could come see me play or what have you. I got to think of that because if we're recruiting guys from further away, I don't want them to think, I was a dumb kid at the time.
Well, that was back in the 90s. Now, it's so much easier to get everywhere.
Places. Yeah, no doubt. So, so a little bit of that high level. Penn State, was playing in the Big Ten. They were making a move basketball wise from a facility standpoint, all those good things. And then, I had a great relationship with the coaches and players. And I think that matters, right? Like it's a big decision. And wherever you go, you want to know that you're surrounded by at least like-minded people in the way you operate, So I had a wonderful experience there every which way and still great friends with my former teammates and people from there. So I very much enjoyed it.
Well, it's a big football school also.
Yeah.
Penn State's got that. And even here, Chattanooga. Football's important here too.
No doubt. Yeah. And it's, that was a great experience going to the football games and everything. But there was a little bit for me coming through where we were known as a soccer school, if you will, in high school. So it was kind of like, hey, we somewhat proved we could be basketball school as well. And at Penn State, it was football school. And I loved Penn State football. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Coach Paterno was there and, cheer for him. But we wanted to make it a basketball school as well. And we had some success with that. But Chattanooga football as well. Rusty Wright's doing a heck of a job. Yeah. And, wins games and great kids around here that are working exceedingly hard, and we're kind of all in this thing together. Chattanooga is an awesome spot.
Yeah. So how's it been in terms of a Jersey guy here in the South?
Yeah.
Have you adjusted? Now I know you've been here, for a while, or I should say, you've been here for a few years, and even your time at VMI, not the same as Jersey, but
it's funny. I'm kind of moving south with each move, right? So I was after I was done playing, I coached at Penn State, and then I went to the Naval Academy for a couple of years, then VMI, and now down to Chat. So I don't know how much further south we can go, but yeah, it's awesome. I mean, the Chattanooga, every which way. My family's loved it. There's a ton to do. They're at a wonderful school over here, the Baylor School. So getting a great education and good sports. And for them, there's a good amount of culture and diversity and sports that they can do and extracurricular activities. There's the outdoor stuff, So selfishly, from my family standpoint, my wife's teaching over at the Baylor School, and she loves it as well. So we love that. Back to the people, and I know again some of this sounds like a cliche or whatever, but we're working with like great human beings, right? Mark Wharton, our AD, keeps awesome people around. So the coaches, while we don't see each other as much as I'd like because we're all running in a million different directions, he keeps really good people around. So we're kind of all in this thing together, and I think we have a lot to sell from the Chattanooga basketball program, right? Great history and tradition, great facilities. Had a ton of success, great academics. So there's a ton to sell here on top of the city itself, and just super fortunate to be here.
Yeah, and Lookout Mountain's not too far away. Ruby Falls, you got all these things, right?
Yeah.
The aquarium
Falls,
here in Chattanooga.
Aquarium, great restaurants, which I know too much about. I'm still eating like I was once a player, so I got to work on the weight thing. But it honestly, it's an awesome community, and as you know, there's a certain level of, you got to be a great salesman to be a coach. You're recruiting kids, but when you feel good or great about where you are and you believe in what you're doing, it's that much easier or authentic rather than, hey, I'm in the middle of nowhere or whatever. Like, I don't want to be here either. And yet I'm trying to convince some young player to come here. So we love Chattanooga. It's been awesome. And, I would point out too that Mark Wharton, our AD, I give him a ton of credit, and I'm so appreciative, right? Because if you go Google my head coaching record, it's not the best thing in the world. So, I think oftentimes athletic directors get caught up in winning the press conference instead of who's going to be representing your program, what coaching staff for X amount of years. So I'm super appreciative that he just decided that we were the right people to come in and run Chattanooga basketball for the next step. And it's been awesome. I have a great relationship with him.
Well, I think you're selling yourself short there in terms of your record. I mean, we are looking at NIT championship trophy also. Now, I know you got that after you got here and he believed in you to actually take that leap. But also going back to the recruiting side of things and the selling part of it, because I remember when I got out of coaching and I was trying to get jobs out, quote, in the real world, so to speak, and I remember distinctly, it would keep coming up, oh, well, you don't have any sales experience, because I was trying to get sales jobs. And it finally hit me. I'm like, well, wait a second. I mean, recruiting? I mean, it's the ultimate sales job, isn't it, Coach?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it certainly is. And again, there's different ways to go about it. Some people come across as, and I don't mean this, but a used car salesman where they can sell anything, or ice to Eskimos, or and then some are more authentic, and I'm somewhere on that spectrum or whatever. So it's whatever works for you, but it certainly helps if you believe in what you're selling, and if you're passionate about it. And I feel great about Chattanooga, about what we have tried to accomplish thus far and what we'll be able to accomplish going forward. We got a great staff and a lot of things, as I mentioned, going for us. So, but back to what you said, whether it's sales in the real world or sales with recruiting or whatever, like there's the age old, if you can pick up a girl, that's somewhat sales too, right? And it goes across all walks of life. So, that's certainly a big part of it, is being able to sell.
Now, I know a lot of times, obviously coaches in particular sports, they'll lean on other coaches in their sport, and that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But have you ever had the opportunity, or do you focus on even talking with other coaches that are having successful programs outside of basketball, like a football coach or a women's basketball coach, volleyball coach? I mean, because there's an opportunity to even learn from other coaches. It doesn't have to be sports specific.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I do that constantly. A bunch of the coaches here, Rusty Wright's football and, volleyball, across the board, and just spend time with them. And because, while the X's and O's aren't the same necessarily, back to what we were saying, you're dealing with people.
The psychology
about it, certainly. And then just decisions that you're making for your program. You're all, there's the coaches' X's and O's on the floor. There's the psychology part of it, which is real. And I would argue that goes across all different sports. But then there's also just running the program, right? And you constantly are making decisions, young man's late for something, right? Like you might initially be like, okay, he's off the team, or you get some, hotshot young coach that's like, one of your assistants, like kick him off the team. It's like, whoa, slow down, man. Not that it's okay to be late for things at Chattanooga, but those kind of things are constantly popping up. Or he missed class one time, or he's not working hard on the court, or or the positive things that come along. So I think you have to be have some good emotional intelligence to this whole thing, and you can pick those type things up off anyone you meet, but certainly coaches in other sports as well.
Yeah, but you never missed class at all when you were a player, right?
Again, you're leading me these leading questions I don't appreciate. So I went to every class every day.
That's right.
At Penn State.
Hey, at least we didn't have social media back then.
Oh,
no, don't have to worry about all the cameras around.
Different world nowadays. So that's funny though you bring that up. I may have missed one or two.
Or two. Yeah, we'll give you one or two. That's it. All right. The NIT championship, I mean, that run. Have you been able to actually step back and reflect on winning the NIT championship, and especially in today's world, as you talked about with coaching, it's 24/7, 365 to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But have you had that moment?
It's weird. Probably not enough. And some of the coaches' wives will get together and they're like, those guys are such a pain, like talking about us, because it was like move on immediately after. In fact, we, we're pretty far, because the calendar that year, we were far into the transfer portal while we were still playing. Yeah. So probably not. And I say all that, and yet we had some awesome young men on that team. And it was like, I know a lot of times when you win, everything's much more fun for everybody. Right. But we had some of our former players come back, and we recognized them this past year. And the parents come back, and in some ways, like the parents are like, "Oh, coach, you're great," or whatever they said. Like, the staff, I'm like, "Can you go talk to our players this year when we're having a tougher year, and explain to their parents that we're like not that bad, or whatever? At least, I'll take that." So, but it was an awesome run. It was I'm sure you saw part of it. It was really tough because we were playing really well during the regular season. Yes. first place. And then we're in a no contact practice like 3 days before the Southern Conference starts. And Frank Champion, our senior, one of our seniors, I should say, goes down with a knee injury. And on the floor, back to the psychology of things, he goes down and he's not one to go down. So I'm innately, I'm going, oh boy, but I can't let anybody know that I'm worried. And the assistants are, starting to go like this and everyone's worried. Yeah. And I'm I bring everybody over. The assistant, I'm get your head up, whatever. And meanwhile, I'm concerned for Frank, cause he's over being checked out or whatever. Long story short, he was out and we had to kind of readjust. And ended up losing the Southern Conference tournament. That was no fun. Yeah. But I was super proud of our guys because once we got some more practices under our belt and we had some younger guys step up to go on that run. I mean, we played some real teams.
Yes, you did.
Whatever, triple overtime at middle and then Dayton coming in here. The McKenzie arena was rocking. Everybody came out. It was a lot of fun. And then just to take it the whole way. And for a city our size, people ask me often, would you rather go to the NCAA tournament or win the NIT? Yeah. And the answer is go to the NCAA tournament because you want to get there. That's the ultimate goal. Right. But I wouldn't trade that for anything. I mean, you're in it for multiple days and you're winning a championship. And as I mentioned, real teams and with just awesome young men. So it was a great time.
Yeah. And you get to play in the Garden.
Yeah, well, normally it's the Garden. In fact, when I played, it was in the Garden. They switched it to Hinkle Fieldhouse.
That's right. Yes, it was Hinkle Fieldhouse now. Which is great.
Awesome.
Tradition.
Yeah, great. I mean, I'm from New Jersey, so I don't know if I'm tainted there. So I played in the NIT Final Four a couple times in the Garden. There's nothing that. But if there's a second place you could be or whatever, I mean, Hinkle Fieldhouse and the history and tradition there. And they treated us unbelievably well, hotel stays and bringing us to and from the game. And we had, the Chattanooga faithful, if you will, went out on private planes and a bunch of people took buses out there and we were. Yeah, they were traveling. You know, so I think people appreciate it. And when there's other things going on in other cities, and we have other things going on, but after the way they treated us, when the bus came in from the flight, everybody out here at McKenzie Arena, we had a parade downtown. So the mayors, county mayor, city mayor were awesome to us. I mean, and our guys would go around downtown, get breakfast and people were asking for autographs. They were like rock stars in our little city, if you will. So it was truly an awesome time.
Yeah. And there is something to be said though, that you get to finish your season on a winning note. Yeah. Because we know there's one team. That's right. The NCAA tournament champion or now the NIT. So how did that impact you? Just, having a season where you didn't end on a losing note.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was great. And, I'm always kind of looking at I'm like a half glass empty guy too much. I'm reminded of that by my wife or whatever, but I felt immediately I was just this is the dumbest game in the world and I felt bad for UC Irvine. So we're playing UC Irvine in the final and I'd have to take you through it and not to spend too much time, but we get a defensive rebound. Honor Huffer, best free throw shooter, gets fouled. I think we could go up 4. Long story short, he misses 2 in a row. They call timeout. So we're trying to decide who to check into the game, yada, yada, yada. UC Irvine throws a 75-foot pass and then they hot potato to another guy and he's got a little 3-foot floater to win it for them. So we must have been up only 1. We could have gone up 3. Long story short, he misses and we go nuts and our fans, everyone's happy with it. And I'm just over there, I take a sip of water. I'm this is the dumbest game in the history of the world, because it's such a fine line, winning and losing. And it goes from euphoria from one team. Yes. I'm stating the obvious, and the other team's devastated, and I feel bad for the young man, but it's a harder shot than you think and whatever. That's right. So, it's both the great thing about sports and why we all compete and get after it and love this game and what it teaches you about life, but also can be devastatingly hard as well. So, so it was great for the Chattanooga Mocs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But why do you think we love sports so much?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of what I just said is, I mean, there's an element of it where at the end of the day, you either win or lose, and you're judged by that. So you know how you did. And just the idea of competing all the time, right? Friends of mine that are in the real world that have jobs, whatever, they will say to me yeah, it's good, this, but I miss being in the locker room with the guys and trying having teammates and like, how are we going to go out and compete? And I don't know if you get that competition thing on any other walk of life more than sports, you know? So, and it's when you can have like great seasons and win an NIT championship with your guys. Like, as I told those guys, they'll remember that for the rest of their lives, you know, or the teams that go to the NCAA tournament or what have you. So it bonds you in incredible ways as well.
Yeah, it definitely does. And just also that camaraderie that you have in the locker room and the ups and downs that you're talking about. How challenging was some of the downs this past year, the injuries that just devastated you guys, even from the very beginning of the season?
Yeah, no doubt. So I thought this interview was going to go exceedingly well, and now you're bringing up the
it's a PTSD, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was hard on everybody, to be honest with you. And I assure the Chattanooga fans and our administration we will be much better this year, and we'll continue to work our tails off. Last year was difficult. You mentioned, and it sounds like an excuse, but we had 4 guys that were 6'6" or over out for the year. So everyone kind of had to slide down a position. We're being out-rebounded every game by X amount of rebounds. So I probably wasn't in the best of moods either, so that wasn't necessarily fun. But looking in the mirror too, there was a couple recruits that we maybe missed on and or just the puzzle pieces fitting together, if you will. So we have to, certainly look in the mirror and see how we do a better job. And I feel much better about this year's team. Nothing against last year's guys, but we just didn't fit them well together. So, but it was difficult, right? Because you have high expectations around here at Chattanooga, as you should. We are as competitive, or so I think, as anyone. So it was a difficult season, to say the least.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what you had also mentioned, that players at times think that they're going to have this just linear jump each year and all of that. And even fan bases, they think the winning is just going to continue. But winning is hard. Yeah. It is so challenging, and those margin of errors that you're talking about, that it can be taken away so quickly.
No, absolutely. And I would argue even harder nowadays. And again, this sounds like an excuse or what have you, but it seems like the luck factor has gone up more now, right? Meaning when you could build a culture and you had 10 of your 13 guys coming back and you're just bringing in 3, you can tweak just here or there, but, or do whole scale changes, but you have more information of what you're bringing back, or your foundation is up and running, your culture is up and running, the way you go about things. Now, a lot of it's just, you're just subbing out, 8, 9, 10 guys sometimes, and you're trying to get, again, those puzzle pieces to fit together. So it is certainly challenging, but at the same time, while it can be frustrating or challenging, it's also awesome and exciting, and you're trying to figure it out, So I'm certainly looking forward to getting back to the winning ways.
Your time at VMI, what did you take away from your time there that has helped you where you are in coaching?
Yeah, I mean,
even at Navy as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like a variety of different things. One, getting the job. Like I had somebody, an athletic director there, take a chance on us and give me a job as my first head coaching job, right? As I'm trying to help some of our assistants. It's hard to do. There's only so many of them, right? So to have that opportunity was awesome. I was really appreciative of, they gave us time to figure it out, right? You have some extra challenges at VMI or at a Naval Academy, right? You have to find the right student athletes and cadet athletes there at VMI that are willing to go through some extra stuff. It's an awesome place and what it can do for your future. But when you're living it day to day, it can be very difficult. So, so I was, super appreciative that they gave us time to kind of figure things out. And we became, we didn't win as many games as I always liked, but we became really competitive in a very difficult Southern Conference. So, so I appreciate that. And then just the young men, again, there's different ways to go about this thing, right? And some coaches might go out and they don't care about, no one is going to say they don't care about character or those kind of things, but just get me some talent and let's go, and I'm probably dumb for not doing it completely that way. But there, when you care about character and the somewhat element of you're still helping mold and shape young men, and people had an influence on my life, when you can be around those types of kids at VMI or Naval Academy, where there's a bigger mission at hand as well, and they're working their tail off and high character, and a lot of them are going to go on to represent our country. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that.
That's
so
right.
I'm super appreciative of our time at both spots.
Yeah, and when you're talking about recruiting, when you're evaluating players, obviously character is what you talk about, but we do know sometimes, as you mentioned, it's not about the X's and O's, and we know the saying, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes. You got to have skilled guys. So we do know that. What are you looking for, though, when you're out on the trail, recruiting, evaluating? What are some of the non-negotiables that you want to focus on?
Yeah. To start off, before just the point you said, but, we have like an NIT video or whatever from 2 years ago. And like at times you're like, oh, we ran some really good stuff and got a guy a backdoor layup or a shot or whatever, and then sometimes we're watching it, just this short video, and you see one of our guys, Honor Huff or whatever, take the ball, get a switch, and bang, 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 and just launching a 25-foot shot that happens to go in.
Yes,
like, right?
Of course.
And it's like, this is great. When it's like, that guy can
job.
make shots. Yeah. So I certainly understand it's about the Jimmies and Joes. But when we're recruiting young men, certainly you got to be able to play. We look for skilled guys, and you need a certain level of athleticism. But some of those qualities we look for off the court, but a competitive spirit, right? Like, so are you somebody that competes? And when you watch them play, that's one of the things that's a shame nowadays. You don't spend as much time recruiting them on the front end, right? Hence the luck factor sometimes with this transfer portal and everything. But a competitive spirit to a large degree, and then just the character that they have, which I've mentioned a few times, but work ethic obviously as well. We had a young man, Jake Stevens, that was with us at VMI, came to chat as well. And like at VMI, I had a house right next to the arena and football field. And, after lifting in the morning and then having a workout, basketball workout or whatever, I'd be on the porch, like having a drink with my wife, whatever. And Jake would be out on the track running sprints on his own, so just that kind of thing, will take players places that they couldn't do otherwise. So those are a lot of the big things. And then look, character-wise, from being a good teammate, being coachable, how you handle the refs, how you handle adversity, right? And we all know the stories. I'm not saying anything so profound, but when you're watching an AU game or a high school game, the kid, comes out of the game and throws his towel and doesn't shake anybody's hand or is not looking the coach in the eye, like, that hits me kind of hard, So I would imagine most of the coaches are looking for similar type things.
Yeah, and that's what I told my son is like, hey, you got to watch how you're reacting even when you're off the court, because coaches are going to be watching that significantly and how important that is.
No doubt. And I would imagine all businesses or in the world, whatever, you're looking for those similar qualities, and, we just had camp here, and I'm like, part of my message is like, hey, saying please and thank you goes a long way, or holding the door for somebody, but it's all kind of intertwined. And, certainly on the field, or in our case on the court, like getting a kid that again is high-fiving their teammate, or you throw the ball to somebody that's not that good and he can't catch the ball, whatever, are you going, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you, and like hanging your head, or are you trying your best to be like, yo, you got it next time, whatever, let's get a stop on defense. So I say all that, and I don't know if you went back in time, like I was always the most positive and like, let's go, so it's do as I say.
It's psychology again, though. Sometimes
right.
you need to be able to kick some people in the tail
no doubt.
To a certain degree.
We talked about that.
But I just like to make sure I avoid energy vampires. I don't need the people that are going to be moping around.
Absolutely,
those type of situations. All right, when you're talking about being able to bring guys together in a different world now with the transfer portal, and even being able to install some of the concepts that you want. How challenging is it for you, with more of like a Princeton style offense, and being able to install that, but also do you have the opportunity to maybe tweak some things, or do you still kind of have to keep it to what your core beliefs rather than evolving your offense to a certain degree?
We It's certainly evolving. We keep the foundational things, if you will, the same. We want guys that are skilled. We want guys that can see and read the game and make. Basketball comes down to decision making, if you ask me, constantly. So we want them to be able to make the most decisions in a small period of time, on the practice floor or whatever as possible, so they get the reps in. So then when it happens in the game, whereas some people, if you're running a certain offense, they take some of the decision making out of it. It's like, just go here, do this, whatever. If you're open, shoot it. If not, so we are staying true to that. We're tweaking some things, always offensively or defensively, with our talent and everything. But to your point, as the years moves forward and this, the ratio of guys that are back compared to leaving, we've had to kind of dummy down some things a little bit, right? Not be as intricate because you just don't have the amount of time. Yeah. And you don't have a kid necessarily freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And like by the time they're junior, the light bulb goes on and they're that much more seasoned. So we've had to kind of dummy down our packages and just, again, want to get in as much decision making as possible.
Yeah. And your offense, just in terms of pace and space, where do you focus more on, your pace or the space aspect?
Yeah, probably the space, definitely. You're constantly, again, wanting guys to make good decisions and keep the floor space. Having shot makers helps that as well. You talk about the gravity, if you have some guys that can't make a shot, they're standing in the paint, you can do whatever you want with that guy, but the defender is not necessarily going out there, So space, I think it starts with, certainly, and allowing some guys that can get by. Trey Bonham a couple of years ago could go by some guys, Frank Champion or whatever. So it opens up gaps and everything. So I'd say that when at all possible, I would much prefer to play fast as well, right? Like, I don't want to get into a knockdown, drag out, milking the shot clock or whatever. So if we could go down, fly it up the court, play in the broken floor, snap the ball and shoot it right away, I'll do that every time. Now they have to be good shots. Yes. And, for some good, the players don't always understand that, right? I think it was John Chaney at Temple years ago where, some kid takes an open shot and he's like, "What the heck are you doing?" He's like, "I was open, coach." He's like, "You're open for a reason because you can't blank bleeping shoot." So you got to know who you are and roles and all that good stuff as well. But I'd say space over the pace.
Yeah, well, and I think there's an aspect of, the number one challenge for an offense is the defense. Yeah. But the way you overcome that is with spacing.
Yeah, no doubt. If you have really good decision makers and if you have skilled guys and if you have competitors, it's hard to guard people, especially in the broken floor in transition, or if you're moving that ball multiple times.
Can you hunt those advantages?
That's what it's all about, So we would my brother who's at William and Mary now, he grew up in the Princeton offense where.
He knows it.
Yeah, no doubt, Coach Carrill has passed away since we started rolling around his grave when I say this, but where they took a little longer shot clock, and moved the ball a bunch. And so he just looked at it. He was in the Ivy League at Cornell and now he's at William and Mary, and certain challenges, all jobs have challenges, whatever, but he's just like, the heck with all this movement, or just play as fast as possible, So I think sometimes at tougher jobs, you have to be different as well. So, but if we can get skilled guys and making the right reads and again, competing, I think we got a good chance to keep winning games.
That's right. Well, and I do want to go back to your dad and his playing days there at Rutgers and Jim Valvano. Do you have any stories? About
probably
Coach
not
V?
for the cameras, whatever. And not a whole lot, other than they were both in fraternity together. Yeah. So I've heard a couple stories here or there. My dad just tells stories of, hey, not surprised that Coach Jimmy V had the success that he had, nor you were talking about a salesman or whatever, somebody that believes in it could tell a story. Awesome. So I never had a chance to meet him or whatever, and they separated a little bit, they'd see each other over the years here or there, but we were young. And then, played with some other really good players, a guy named Bob Lloyd that could really shoot the ball. And, but he tells a story back to that, that I try to keep some of these things in the back of my mind. He was playing against Bill Bradley, who, if you know Bill Bradley, played at Princeton and, New York Knicks or whatever, senator from New Jersey, but was unbelievable scorer and player, whatever. And he tells a story that, his coach at the time's like, hey, hey, Earl, he's going to cut harder than you can imagine. He's like, yeah, I got it, whatever. And the next day, like, no, remember, he's going to cut harder than, like, I'm telling you. Yeah, I got it. And he says the first play of the game, like, he comes out and he cut and he's like wide open. The coach is losing his mind going, I told you. And he's like, holy cow.
Yeah, it's a different level.
Yeah, so I try to remind myself of those things. We've all made mistakes along the way, and these young guys are learning as we're coaching them.
Who's the best player you played against?
That's an interesting question.
Or even played with, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like, because at the time, actually, the one I remember being the best was Glenn Robinson at Purdue.
Oh, yes, big dog.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, every which way. This was before, social media and all this. So you would just like read a magazine and see like big dog, this, whatever. And, part of you is like, who's the big, I remember going through layup lines and I'm like looking on the other side. I'm like, I don't see somebody that's like, and sure enough, he came out and he would give you 30 every which way you wanted it, But, I was fortunate, like whatever, Allen Iverson and Stephon Marbury and Paul Pierce and, a bunch of guys that I've at least been on the court with. Not that you want to hear these stories, but what's tough about that question too is, so I'm trying out the New Jersey Nets years later. It's like, I don't know if it was 2001 or 2002. Michael Jordan's coming back to the Wizards at this time. And it's it happens to be on TNT. It's a preseason game. I did not make the Nets. But the Nets, we go up like 30 points and I'm like, I'm about to check in this game and play against MJ. MJ to me, it's like LeBron even more, so sure enough, like, it's like 30-point game and MJ like steals the ball, hits a three, steals the ball again and one, whatever. Like, and this lead's going down and the Nets guys are all like, we're grabbing each other's like legs, like, holy cow, like we're watching this. But needless to say, I did not get into the game because he cut it to within like 7. Yes. We were trying to win still. So I never played. I was in layup line. He was on the other side, but
that's an accomplishment right there.
I guess. So,
all right. So settle the debate then. The GOAT debate. LeBron or MJ?
Again, I don't know if I want to be on camera with this, but you have to say MJ.
Of course.
So yeah.
You can be on camera.
Most people our age, it's hard to go against that, So, and look, it's weird that I would say that because I appreciate LeBron and how he shares the ball and who he is and all those things. Like, he plays the game the right way, but there was something about MJ that, like, just the killer.
Factor. Yes.
I mean, even when you're watching the 30 for 30, right? Like, it's like when he's gone, like, that's the way I operate. And if you don't want to do it, it's like, it makes you like, talk about a competitor, like no one better.
Completely different. And of course, yes, you're shaped by a lot of the role models that you have, as a kid. And so me growing up, I remember I was probably 11 years old seeing Michael Jordan hit what was ultimately the game-winning shot for North Carolina over Georgetown, and then following his career, after that, just what he was able to do. And when I say that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, I'm not disparaging LeBron or anybody else at all, because I mean, you look at LeBron. I mean, just think what he has done, living up to all of the hype.
Unbelievable.
For 23 years. I mean, coming straight from
You're trying to save face
school?
now.
Yeah, I am. That's right.
In case anybody says you say but he's playing in Philly now. LeBron is, so it'll be interesting. I grew up outside Philly, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, both unbelievable, but it's hard not to say him.
That's right. Okay, so now turning the page here, 2026, fresh start. What are the what are the Moc fans? What should they most be excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, turning the page, hopefully we stay injury-free, but I really like our team, both from a character standpoint, which, again, I've mentioned multiple times, but we got some players, we have more size than we've had in the past.
Was that very intentional?
Yeah, and I think hopefully we didn't overdo it, right? I'm almost scarred from last year not being able to grab a rebound, and getting shoved into the, stands, if you will, at different times. And that was, again, somewhat injury and somewhat, but not that our guys weren't trying to compete, but it was a tough year. So I would say a decent amount it was intentional. All things being equal, I would take a taller guy at the same skill level than not, right? Yes. So some of it just happened to be that way as well. Now I say that, and we had those two really good guards 2 years ago, Trey Bonham and Honor Huff, who are not the tallest guys, and I'd take them in a second again. But I think we'll have a good amount of athleticism. I think we have some competitors, certainly. I think we're longer across the board at every position. And a good mixture. We have some international guys, we have some transfers, and then a couple freshmen that have really good futures ahead of them, and sooner rather than later. And then some of our retaining guys, Tate Darner in particular, that I think Josh Bowman, that'll take a step in the right direction.
Yeah. All right. And then just even in terms of, the bigs that you're talking about, how important is it for you to have guys with that height, with that size there in the front court, but also can have the ability to pick and pop?
Yeah. I mean, we run some Princeton-ish actions, and we want everybody to be skilled, right? So we have not had a lot of guys that are just kind of rim running, shot blocking, grabbing rebounds, and just catch and finish around the hoop, right? And maybe at times we should have that because they provide a lot of value as well, right? We've been most successful when we have guys that can score around the basket, but can also stretch that floor, and back to the spacing, whatever. Like when you have a center or five-man that can shoot from the perimeter, in theory, that opens up the whole court for back cuts, for drives, for different things. So I think that's a big part of what we do. And I like our pieces this year that can play that center spot. Josh Bowman, as I mentioned, I think will take a step in the right direction as well, that freshman to sophomore jump. Yonatan Levy played at Pepperdine. He's from Israel. I give him a hard time. I can say this, but he can't jump over a phone book. I don't even know if there are phone books anymore, but he's like skilled and can pass and can shoot and like score on the block, whatever. And then we have John Fleeman, a freshman who's like got a really chance to be really good. He's got some really good size, probably a true 6'11", big body though. Yeah. So he's physical. He's willing to hit you and grab some rebounds on top of fairly skilled at his age, can stretch the floor. So I'm excited about our bigs as well.
Yeah, we're going to need to list him at 7 feet, though.
Yeah,
Just to go ahead and...
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I'm sure he's listed at 7. If I know the way things are working nowadays, probably 7'2".
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody adds 2 to 3 inches or whatever compared to their real height. But he's got a chance to be really good.
Yeah. All right, scheduling-wise, what are you excited about? The schedule.
Yeah, it's a good
question.
I know it's not out yet, or the contract's coming back and everything, but it's the typical.
Yeah, what you can share.
Yeah. It's, and I feel bad because the fans are often like, hey, what are we doing schedule? Everybody wants to know, whatever. And
scheduling is so challenging now.
It's so challenging, right? Because nobody wants to talk about, not nobody, but a lot of teams don't want to talk about it until you finish your roster, and that they're not finished now until so late. In fact, we're down to maybe 1 or 2 games, depending on contracts and everything that we still have to get. But I'd prefer to be done with it as well, So we do have a couple games. Long story short, we'll play a couple high major games on the road, which we always try to do. It's fun for our guys to be able to go in somewhere and see what we can do and compete against some really good teams. We'll play some light games, both home and the road, and hopefully prepare us for the Southern Conference. And then we'll play, a couple lower level teams here or there, depending on time of year and how the schedule plays out, So I think it'll be a fun schedule as well. The SoCon Big South Challenge as well, right? So we have, and I can't even think, but at Winthrop and then Radford coming in, for those two. So both really good programs, especially recently. They do a heck of a job. So I'm excited about the schedule and gearing up for, what'll be another, I'm sure, great SoCon season.
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee Tech coming in as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And the SoCon basketball, which I'm sure many conferences say this, like, hey, our league's so tough, this, that, the other. But having been in it for, I don't even know what it is now, maybe 11 years or something like that.
I mean, firsthand.
It's, and look, everyone wants to be resourced at the highest levels and we're resourced well, whatever. But the coaches that have come through here and the programs and the players that are really good. I mean, outstanding programs that have done exceedingly well. In fact, when I got the VMI job at first, I was talking to my former boss, Ed DeChellis, and hey, do you want to take it? Nah, whatever. And I was like, he's like, yeah, go ahead. You can go in there and maybe mess around and figure out how to win some games because some of the perennial Davidson moved to College of Charleston, right, that are not messing around as programs. And I got into the Southern Conference, and it's like, Chattanooga was rolling, and Steve Forbes is at ETSU, and I don't want to leave anybody up, but Furman's rolling, and like UNCG,
Wes Miller,
Wofford, and Mike Young's at Wes Miller, right? And I'm going, what the heck's going on? Like, I'm calling my former boss, going, you told me to do, so it was certainly challenging, but I think the SoCon is competitive year in and year out, and kind of outkick our coverage in many ways. And I'm looking forward to a competitive season.
Yeah. How would you describe the tournament in Asheville for the Southern Conference?
Honestly, unbelievable. Like we do a lot of things really well as a conference. I can't imagine that that's not right at the top of the list, right? And just knowing a lot of, I was in the Patriot League for a little while in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten's a little different level, if you will, but knowing a lot of friends in the business and what goes on and talking to different coaches. And I've probably seen another conference tournament or two, but the people from Asheville embrace it. They come to games. It's centralized enough that the schools are all sending their fans. It's a great size city, and you have bars and restaurants, and the Chattanooga
everybody's staying right there.
They're staying right there. I mean, it is truly, you've been around basketball. I mean, there's very few things at our level, mid-major plus basketball. I can't imagine a better tournament out there.
Yeah, no question. Well, the Roundhouse isn't too bad either. When this place gets rocking.
Awesome.
How would you describe the Roundhouse?
Incredible. I mean, the game that sticks out from 2 years ago was that Dayton game at home. I mean, the place was loud, rocking, supportive, and it was announced 24 hours behind, because you didn't know who was going to win and who was going to lose. But we've had some unbelievable crowds. The people are proud of Chattanooga basketball history, and they continue to come out, and they have high expectations, but support us. I'll be honest too. We had a tough year last year, as you know, and people still came out to the games and supported us. So I'm super appreciative of that. There's an element of some older people will say, hey, when are we going to sell it out again? And you tried explaining to them. Mac McCarthy had this thing rolling back in the day. Number one, he was an unbelievable coach, unbelievable program, amongst other coaches. But back in the day, as we kind of alluded to, not everything was on. You couldn't find it online.
That's right.
So if you wanted to see the game, unless a one-off might be on TV, you had to go.
You had to be here.
Well, now the good is you can see Chattanooga Mocs all the time, but the bad is you don't have to show up. So I'm supportive that big games we'll get 5, 6, 7, 8,000 people. So, but the Roundhouse is certainly still rocking, and was past couple of years.
Definitely. Well, Coach, I don't want to keep you from lunch, man. I appreciate it.
I don't need lunch, but this has been awesome. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Coach.